Hey everyone, and welcome. Have you ever driven from a busy city center out to the quiet suburbs and just felt the whole world change around you? You know, the buildings get smaller, the noise just fades away, and suddenly there's so much more green? It feels obvious, right? But how could you actually prove that? How do you measure that change in a scientific way? Well, that is the exact puzzle that urban researchers face all the time. Their job is to take that feeling of change we all have and turn it into cold, hard data. They have to capture the story of a city's transformation in a way that's clear, logical, and something you can do again and again. Because here's the secret. As chaotic as they might seem, cities aren't random at all. Nope, they actually have a hidden structure. There are these predictable gradients of change that just flow outwards from the center. And you know what? Understanding those patterns is the key to understanding the entire city. So, how do we find these hidden patterns? How do we make them visible? Well, it turns out one of the most powerful tools we have is also one of the simplest. And it all starts with a single line. It's called an urban transect. Now, the concept is really simple. You basically draw a straight line on a map right across the area you want to study. Let's say from the downtown core all the way to the edge of the suburbs. Then you just move along that line, collecting data methodically at regular points. The best way to picture this is to imagine a city as this giant, complex layer cake. You can't really tell what's inside just by looking at the top, right? But what if you cut one clean slice? From the middle to the edge, all of a sudden, you'd see everything. The frosting, the sponge, the filling, every single layer right there in perfect order. An urban transect does exactly that for a city. And the very first, most important thing that Slice shows you is the gradient, how things change over distance. This, right here, is where the transect truly shines. I mean, this tool is literally designed to study these kinds of gradients. Just think about the changes in land use. You might start with skyscrapers in the business district, and then those give way to apartment blocks, then maybe townhouses, and finally, you hit those single-family homes with the big yards. A transect is the absolute perfect way to map that exact progression. Okay, let's make this real. Imagine you're a researcher and you have this hypothesis. Quality of life improves as you get further away from the city center. Now, that's a pretty big, maybe even a kind of vague idea. How on earth could a transect help you test that scientifically? Well, you'd follow these exact steps. First, you've got your hypothesis. Done. Second, you'd lay your transect line on a map, maybe running it 10 miles straight out from City Hall. Third, and this is crucial, you'd stop every half mile along that line to systematically collect data. Data on things you've decided are part of quality of life, like noise levels, air quality, how much park space there is. And finally, by plotting all that data, the urban pattern is revealed. It either proves or disproves your idea. It's just a brilliant way to bring scientific rigor to a really complex question. Now, it's not just scientifically elegant. The urban transect has another massive advantage going for it. It is incredibly efficient. And hey, don't just take my word for it. After comparing a bunch of different methods, researchers actually concluded the transect is the most accurate, least expensive, and most easily applied technique out there. I mean, in the real world of tight budgets and even tighter deadlines, that's a total game changer. So what makes it so efficient? Well, it saves a ton of time and money because you're focused along one strategic path. You're not just sending teams out to random points all over a massive city. Plus, at each stop, you can gather a whole bunch of different data points at once. Land use, traffic counts, building height, you name it. This makes it absolutely perfect for quickly getting a baseline understanding of an area. Okay, so let's pull all this together. Why should we care so much about what's basically just a simple line on a map? Here's the most important takeaway. The urban transect is so much more than a line. It's a key that unlocks the hidden logic of our cities. It takes the overwhelming, chaotic experience of an urban area and it transforms it into a clear, understandable story of change and structure. It's a simple tool that makes the invisible patterns of our world visible. And that leaves us with one last thing to think about. I want you to picture the journey from the center of your town to wherever you live. What would change along that line? The kinds of shops you see? The size of the homes? The number of trees? What story is just waiting to be discovered in a single slice of your city?